Listened to and viewed from over 68 countries from around the world, this is the Gridcast, and I am your host, Danny Cox. And behind the camera is Tyler McQueen, and with me is my co-host. He's a box owner and a grid enthusiast, and over the weekend he got really tired of watching people run on some treadmills. And when someone mentioned it, he went in the back, and he mixed up a drink called Shut the Hell Up, and he said, shush, we're watching last year's grids matches. His name is Conan Bruce.
Yes.
Conan.
So I like to say I got me a big old glass of shut the up.
Right. Well, that's why I said hell. Okay. H-E double hockey sticks.
Right. Shut up, because I'm going to watch some grid instead.
Right, dude. People running on treadmills, and also
I thought I was watching like a Gold's commercial. I was like, what are these people doing? And it took them 10 minutes to do it.
Oh, my God.
Okay, never mind.
Moving along. Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, the Reebok CrossFit Games regional competition. It would take me like 15 minutes. It's okay. Yeah, especially after all the other events.
Right.
So the Reebok CrossFit Games regional competition kicked off last weekend. So we're going to talk a little bit about how the grid athletes did there. And then in quadrant number 2.
All right, we're going to talk about all things amateur league. All right. Got a lot of things going on in the amateur league. One of the leagues is finishing up. They're going to have their finals or championships.
Awesome.
And several other ones are getting ready to ramp up and do their invitationals or their tournaments.
Which is sweet. Yeah, and then we actually have the reigning champ for the Mid-Atlantic Regionals, Mr. Noah Ohlsen from the LA Reign. He's actually joining us on quadrant number 3.
Congrats, Noah.
Yeah, man. So let's go ahead and start our grid race match and head on over to quadrant 1.
See you there.
We love to lift, laugh, and improve. This is Björk Odensdatter.
Hey guys, we started our grid race in quadrant 1. So, the Reebok CrossFit Games regional competition kicked off this past weekend.
2 of them.
Yeah, well, the Mid-Atlantic and the Southern.
Nope, Atlantic and Southern.
Oh, it's not Mid-Atlantic?
Nope, it's Atlantic now.
My bad, Atlantic. Well, crap, my notes are going to suck then. It's going to throw me way off.
I'll help you out.
All right. So I'm going to run through which each team, whose athletes qualified for the games, and then we're going to come back around and talk about why we talked about it.
That's going to take a while because there's a lot.
It is. So Baltimore Anthem, we had Elizabeth Warren. She's a 40 in the 40 to 44-year-old category for the, what is it called? The Masters Qualifier? Is that what it's called? Yeah, Masters Qualifier.
Oh, for the games, yeah.
Yeah.
Masters Qualifier.
So she got 7th place. And then Luke Espy and Kristen Wagner, they were on a team, and they qualified for
12
the games.
labors, by the way, local to our area. That is a cool group of people. So basically, I think it's 3 or 4 CrossFit gyms together up around Baltimore area.
Oh, that's
all
cool.
came together, yeah, and they were separate gyms. And anyway, so pretty cool folks up there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
For the DC Brawlers, you had Cassidy Lance. She got 4th place in the Atlantic region. And then Janet Black was 12th at the Masters Qualifier. Sean Ramirez was 1st at the Masters Qualifier. And Ingrid Cantola of CrossFit. Now it's J-A with like these 2 dots over it, and then another A with the 2 dots over it, Carew.
Yeah, absolutely no idea.
Carew?
Carew.
I have no idea.
I like Carew.
What's cool, though, is Ingrid Cantola from DC Brawlers actually was on the team with Ricky Reedus from the Phoenix. So that's pretty awesome. So they qualified for the games. San Francisco Fire had Jolene Undershoot. I want to say her name right. And she got 3rd in the Masters Qualifier.
Can we French it up and just call it Undershoote?
Yeah, sure. Undershoot.
That's more German.
Undershoot.
We're not making fun of your name. We just don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. I can't make fun of anybody's name.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
So then we had Chad Augustine, who, by the way, was on episode number 15. He's currently sitting at 11th place. Well, was at 11th place for the Masters Qualifier.
Yeah.
And then for the Boston Ironweight, Whitney Yellen, who got 5th place in the Atlantic region. And then Natalie Newhart almost made it. She was so close. She got 8th place in the Southern region.
I mean, if we were to do almosts, I think there would be another like 15 athletes, because I know of at least CrossFit Balance out of DC had Chris Clyde from the DC Brawlers. They came in 8th place.
Yep.
They rocked it hard all the way to the end. I thought they were actually going to make it to that 5th place spot, but I think they did really well. But I'm sure there's several that we've missed. So if we missed you guys as far as being close, we apologize, because we know there's a lot of grid athletes out there.
Yep. And then for the LA Reign, we had Dusty Hyland, coach. He actually made it during the Masters qualifier. But then we got Noah freaking Ohlsen, who got
which place?
Oh, that would be first.
First place.
In the Atlantic Division. Oh, who got the interview before he actually got the first place?
That would be us.
Oh, that would be us. Oh, weird. So you can check him out on this episode number 21.
We pick him good. And he's he's a really nice guy too. And I don't know if you didn't watch the Atlantic Regionals, go back and watch Noah. I don't think he took first place in any of the events. I could be wrong there, but he was consistent and he was just so.
He's a freak of nature.
Yeah. Ben Smith is known as captain consistency, like as he just keeps going the whole way, and Noah just turned it on, and he was blowing the whole thing up, and not a hair out of place, out of place.
And also in the Atlantic Division, you had Elijah Muhammad from the New York Rhinos. Yeah. So he got third place. Krista Giordano, she was on a team with two other gritters, right? So that's pretty cool. And then a close call would be Sarah Beth Phillips. Unfortunately, she got 9th place, but she has a close place in my heart. She was in episode number 5. She's my grid crush.
Yep.
So, but anyway, she got 9th place. She really battled it out. And then Andrea Ager finished 13th place in the southern.
And she
region.
always fights hard too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for a if CrossFit was by weight classes.
Oh,
like Andrea,
we're gonna get into that. You're reading ahead. You're reading ahead.
Okay. I'll slow my roll. All right.
So then for the Phoenix Rides, Jessica Phillips with her hubby. They actually were in CrossFit Bound, which is actually kind of cool. It's like, I'm going to CrossFit Bound, right? CrossFit Bound. So anyway, they qualified. Danny Nichols and Coach Mike Lee, part of OPEX Red.
Yep.
So they're going. And then also Mike Lee was in episode number 8.
Episode 8.
Yeah, you interviewed him. Yeah. And then Ricky Reedus, as we said again, was with Ingrid Cantola. Also made it. So then Miami Surge, we're going to wrap it up there with April Lowe for the Masters. She's 13th right now at the Masters qualifier. Then Jen Jones finished 4th place in the Southern region. And then the almost were Jacob Anderson got 9th place in the Atlantic. I almost made it the whole segment without saying Mid-Atlantic. Dang it! So anyway, Jacob Anderson got 9th place in the Atlantic region, and then Nicole Capurso, who was in episode number 13, she ended up getting 23rd. So why do we care about all this, right? Why?
Because we love the sport.
We do love the sport, right? But we many times throughout the show we've talked about how it's difficult for athletes to think about being a dual sport athlete or a multi-sport athlete. Right. So you have
many of these athletes that we just talked about have competed in weightlifting competitions recently.
Yeah, you have Sarah Beth Phillips.
So that's at least 3 sports. That makes you a multi-sport athlete. That's like a triathlete.
Yeah, of course.
Right, when you've got all these, and you're training for all these. Now, it is true they overlap, some of them, kind of, right? But I don't think we're going to see this play out fully until year 3, 4, 5 of the grid as a sport, where we're going to see whether they have to make a choice. Either they look at this and say, hey, you know what? I really like doing the Open and the regionals because it keeps me tuned up going preseason, right? I'm staying in shape. I'm hustling. I'm still competing. It's better than just training alone, yada, 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 right? And maybe I still have a little place in my heart for wanting to be on the podium at CrossFit Games. Can't blame you.
Right.
But we're going to find out, does that get in the way of being a grid athlete, being a elite grid athlete?
Right. And just making it to regionals means you're at least, top 1%.
Oh,
so that's
absolutely.
Better than that, actually.
Yeah.
So that's amazing all in of itself, right? But if you have the standard
how many people
set
over
at
200,000, 200 and some thousand?
Over 270,000.
Over 270,000 people, and you are in the top 20 of that.
Right.
Whatever. Right?
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Yeah, top 100.
So, but if you set the bar at, okay, so I'm successful because let's say I got paid because I went to the games, right? Because all the athletes get paid something at the games, right? So if you set the bar there.
Yeah. I mean, do they all the way down to the last person?
I think all the way down to the last person. Or is it top 20? It's top 20?
Yeah, I think there's I don't. We have to look that up.
All right. Well, either way,
it changes a little bit every year, but there's definitely more opportunities for an athlete at the CrossFit Games to make $1 or $2 than there ever has been before.
Right.
So that's definitely.
If you set the bar though at I made the CrossFit Games, and that is the hey, look, if I can make the CrossFit Games and I can be a competitor in grid, right, a very successful competitor, right, in grid, then that's successful, right? So you can do a multi-sport athlete. what comes to mind, or who comes to mind, is Sarah Beth Phillips, right? So Sarah Beth Phillips, and I love her to death. Again, she's my grid crush. She was a star in grid last year, a freaking star. And she's a beast when it comes to the USAW standards because of her weight class.
And she's
what
a freaking
she
gymnast, right?
But in grid, if they don't really care how big you are in quadrant 4 when it's time to lift up the big weights, right?
There's somebody for that.
Right. So she can stand out in grid because what she does, she's amazing at it, right? But then take her into the Reebok CrossFit Games, right? And they also don't care if you're a tiny person trying to lift the huge weights. So it's going to affect her, right? And it's going to affect her in the standings. And so she got 9th place. Again,
so we're talking about
badass.
Like weight class. Like grid doesn't have weight classes either, but it does separate the specialists, which can, it's not the same thing, but it can segment you as an athlete, which is good. Once I can segment myself, if I'm a good wide receiver, if I'm a good fullback, and so if I'm good at my position, then I can help the team, right? This can be great. And when I go to a thing, I don't know what the workouts are coming up, right? And so it's unknown and unknowable. So I can't really train for it. I can train for what I think is going to happen. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to compete with people that are just way bigger, way stronger, way faster, and there's nothing that I can do about that because I can't get that much bigger and I can't get that much faster. So it's not an even playing field, which, and that's okay in CrossFit's eyes because they're hunting down the fittest person, not the fittest person in a weight class or in an age. Well, they do by age.
Right, yeah, well.
Yeah, kind of. But the point is, it's what I'm waiting to see is do we have athletes that decide to let go of the ego and say to themselves,
it'd be tough.
Am I doing CrossFit Games because I think I can get to the podium? And that's what I keep, reaching for. And can I really?
In a realistic sense.
Yeah, really, can I, right? And I think it's going to take some coaches to get them to get that sorted out and tell the athletes, hey, if you're just going for the fun of it, then no problemo, right?
Right.
But if you're gonna try to do both and be elite at both, I don't know that that's gonna work.
Yeah, I think there are specific freaks of nature that can do it. Right. Noah Ohlsen, for instance, he was a standout last year in grid, and he's first right now in the Atlantic region. So he is.
He's not a freak of nature. He's freaking working his ass off.
Right. No, I know that, but everyone else works their ass off too, right?
He is kind of freak of nature. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's genetically. May be able to do this better than other people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's definitely in that weight class, that body type that is, I think we've seen, it has a higher predisposition to be good at the CrossFit Games. I don't think you're going to see a skinny, tall guy stand on the podium. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think so.
Somebody might prove us wrong.
Right.
Please, Easy. Please.
Yes.
Prove us wrong. Right? I mean, he's 6 foot tall, which is not like really tall, right? I'm 6'1", 6'2".
But for a lot of these athletes, it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And he's 6 foot tall. I can't remember how much he weighs, but let's say it's around 200 some. I mean, that's kind of small for a 6 foot tall guy.
Right.
Right. So I don't know if we're ever going to see that body type, stand. Well, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not going to take anything away from him because actually, if this gives him fuel for fire, go for it, bro.
Right.
Get up there on the podium, man.
I was really excited about over these last couple weekends, and I really wasn't aware of it until I actually did the research today, how many athletes are going to the games in a team format, which I think translates to grid way better.
Sure.
Right? You have to work better with others. You got to have the communication aspect of it. You got to pre-plan the workouts.
I think that's a better preseason plan if you're really focused on grid, is just to do team, at the regionals and hopefully for the games, and that would keep you tuned up. Individual, I just think it takes a toll on your body. I mean, having been out to the CrossFit Games several times, having judged at the CrossFit Games, judged at a lot of regionals. I mean, you can just see the toll this takes on their bodies. Take Ben Smith, 23, 24 years old. This is like number 7 coming up. How long is his body really going to be able to take it? Not just his body, but his mind. Like, is he just going to be like, holy crap, man, I'm tired
How many
of this.
things do you have to give up?
Oh, a lot.
To keep up.
We know you do.
Oh, yeah.
We see it, right?
Dude, just, so my wife was trying to get to regionals and USAW, and just with her 3 to 5 hours of the work. She did.
Yeah.
Actually, she did.
But the training to get there.
The training to get there was crazy, and that's 3 hours, 4 hours,
She's
4 or
out there
5 days a
lifting
week.
right now.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days a week doing that. I mean, you miss a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
It's but that's the life of a professional athlete. We just have to, at some point. So for a lot of CrossFitters, the CrossFit Games is like the Olympics, right?
Yep.
That's the pinnacle. It's the it's the pinnacle trophy. That's grid.
It's just being recognized worldwide.
Yeah,
right. As an individual,
it's all we had until we had grid. It's all we had.
Yeah,
is if you wanted to prove yourself as a functional fitness athlete, you had to lay it on the line at the CrossFit Games, right? And by the way, we say Reebok CrossFit Games a lot just because in any attempt to keep any CrossFit lawyers from coming after us, because we know technically it is the Reebok CrossFit Games, not just the CrossFit Games. So we try to throw that in there as much as we can. We are definitely not proponents, or we're not sponsored by Reebok.
Right.
Could care less.
Right.
We attach it to the name because it is technically the trademark. The name is Reebok CrossFit Games.
Right.
So if you wonder why we say that so much, that's why. And moving on. Yeah, so enough attention to them. But so if you're going to make it to the CrossFit Games, and there I left Reebok off. If you're going to make it to the CrossFit Games, that's the Olympics. Now the good thing is, I think that you go to the Olympics, you don't make any money, like $0.
Right.
It's true amateur.
Right.
Right. If you go to the games, you stand a chance to make something. Hopefully through sponsors and things like that, you're going to recoup some of the money. But I've talked to many of these athletes that are, let's say they're from the top 50, right, top 100.
Yeah.
Those type of athletes that they. I mean, if you could put a dollar sign on the time that they put in, right?
My God.
It'd be millions.
Yeah.
But literally, between food, fuel, equipment, all the things that they do, it's definitely tens of thousands of dollars in a year that they spend to do their sport, and they're going to be lucky to recoup any of that.
Right.
Any of it.
Yeah.
And much less make a living.
It's a very expensive hobby.
Much less make a living.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a dude in Tennessee that owns a farm, did pretty well for himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think he did. He did all right.
He won quite a few CrossFit Games
4 times
as he deserved it.
Right.
But I mean, are we gonna see that? Like before him, after him, we haven't really seen that. So making a living at this, and some people say, I don't care. I'm not trying to make a living at it. This is what I want to do. Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. But how long are you going to beat your body up for that? So that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, there's plenty of people that box, play soccer, play semi-pro football, till their 30s or whatever, and beat themselves up to death for the love of the sport.
Sure.
Great, have at it.
Yeah, just like lifters.
Yeah. Oh, lifters go into their 50s and 60s, right?
Right.
Weightlifters and powerlifters. It's just going to be, for us, I mean, as analysts, as lovers of the sport, it's going to be interesting to watch this play out. I do hope that some of the athletes at some point make a choice, because I think they could be better at one versus the other.
True.
And I think if you watch the athletes, you'll see which ones those are.
Yep.
That truly their sport. Because we all have, not all of us, but, I think as functional fitness athletes, we're probably better. You can tell where you're better served as a CrossFit athlete or as a grid athlete. And if you can figure that out and really do your best at one of those, and maybe just dabble in the other, that's okay. When you try to be the best at both, I think there's a deficit there somewhere.
Absolutely. All right. Well, so I think that finished out a reps out on quadrant 1. So without further ado, let's head on over to quadrant 2.
Quadrant 2. Hey guys, welcome to quadrant 2.
So, so you have some amateur league stuff to talk about, right?
I do.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to do our best to give a quick little, not a recap, just kind of an update.
Yeah.
An update on the amateur leagues. And by the way, before I forget, because I probably will, we talked about this a couple episodes ago. We're still doing it, but we're looking for some folks in the NorCal region and maybe Southern California region to help us out. We are doing a podcast for each one of the amateur leagues. We already have the East Coast covered, so save yourself. All right. But what we do need some help on the West Coast, because we don't want to leave those guys out. So we've been holding off until we get the West Coasters, the podcasters. So what we're looking for is somebody with some experience in podcasting who loves to cover grid and wants to help out with the Gridcast, because we've got a team of folks. We're going to have a podcast every week on all things amateur league. And
you can hit us up on all the different social media platforms.
Yeah, just hit us up on Facebook and tell us if you're interested, and we'll get you an email and all that kind of sort of stuff.
Yep.
And moving along to the amateur league. So a little bit of update. One of my favorite bits of information, I think, came out this week. We'll start with the Northeast Grid League.
Sure.
NEGL. Can we call it NEGL? NEGL?
Why not? Sure.
Yeah,
NEGL. Yeah, I like
Northeast.
NEGL.
I don't know. Anyway, the Danbury Mad Hatters.
NEGL. Sorry, I couldn't get off of it.
The first team announced within the Northeast Grid League is the Danbury Mad Hatters of Danbury, Connecticut.
That's awesome.
I know, I love it, right?
God, I
I
love
almost
that.
wish I'd have picked that name.
No, Hooligans is awesome.
I love the Hooligans.
I'll take that.
But it is cool to be first.
Yeah,
I know.
Hell yeah.
So the Danbury Mad Hatters from Connecticut. Sounds like they got a pretty robust management staff. Rather than just read off everybody's name, go to Danbury Mad Hatters, and it's Danbury, not Danbury. I think it's Danbury. Danbury Mad Hatters, okay? I'm not from the Northeast, so
Wasn't there like a Danbury comic strip back in the day?
No, that's Doonesbury.
Doonesbury. I tried.
Kind of the same. No.
Whatever.
The Mad Hatters.
Potato.
Yeah, and also, so go to the website. They got a lot of info there. Check out the Northeast Grid League's website. And also, just as a little bit of shout out and hopefully to help these folks out as a team, because I know how it is to raise money, they have a GoFundMe site. It's gofundme.com/Danbury Mad Hatters. And if I'm messing up Danbury and it's Danbury, somebody tell us. All right. If just as a reminder, the Northeast Grid League covers Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, and New York. New York is also kind of shared with the Mid-Atlantic Grid League.
The NEGL.
The NEGL. We'll talk about them in a minute. So coming up in the Northeast Grid League, we have the August Invitational. So much like several of the other amateur leagues, they're going to hold an invitational, which basically means come one, come all. I think they'll have a cap on the number of teams, but basically come do a grid tournament, and then they're going to sort out their teams afterwards. As far as I understand, I might have that wrong. They have all the information on their website.
You say that was in August?
It's in August.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
ending the summer like that? That's
yeah,
awesome.
What's cool about it is because we got a little bit of a break between the NPGL starts in June, right, the season.
Right.
Then there's a little break, and then it comes back in – no, it comes back in August. There's a break and it's in July. July. And then there's a break in August, then comes back in September.
Right.
So the Northeast Grid League will fill a little bit of that
which is nice.
Space, yeah.
Yeah.
Moving along to the Mid-Atlantic Grid League. Again, you can find out all sorts of information at themagl.com. The Combine was postponed till somewhere in July probably. I think this is more about giving the athletes time to prepare, teams time to form up, and it's also, I think, waiting on putting together a permanent venue instead of doing like a temporary venue. So they're going to put together, as I understand it, a full-on grid venue where you're going to come in and
which is going to be amazing.
It'll be fan-freaking-tastic.
If it looks legit, which I think it will, that's going to be awesome.
It is. It's going to be cool because all the different amateur teams are going to be able to play there. Probably you'll have some pro teams that will practice there whenever they're having matches on the East Coast.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Combine's postponed. Look for that in like July. And sometime after that, they're also going to have a tournament that I think is pretty cool. They're calling theirs the Civil War. So North versus
awesome.
South. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how that one turns out.
Perfect for this area.
Yeah, exactly. And we're really looking forward to more team announcements from the NEGL and the MAGL. So from the Northeast and from the Mid-Atlantic. We've got one team each has announced. We know there's lots of rumors. We've heard about other teams that are waiting in the wings. And
which one's the MAGL one again?
Mid-Atlantic.
No, the Hooligans?
Oh, the Hooligans, yeah.
That'd be the Hooligans.
I try not to put them up too much since the general manager.
Well, whatever.
Now, on to the big dogs, the SAGL.
Yeah.
Why do I call them the big dogs?
Because they're the first.
They were the first. I mean, they came out hard, right, as the first amateur grid league to stand up.
And it's where we started.
Yeah, exactly. So we love them. And they've been paving the way ever since. So last year they did their tournament, their invitational. Then they moved on and did combines for each team. They put together some solid teams from all over the South.
You know what I love about them, by the way? They took their time.
They did.
Yeah, it's perfect.
They didn't rush.
No.
And as a result, they've got a really good season.
Yes.
So we're rolling into the playoffs for the first season, the inaugural season. It's been going on, I think, May 9th, which would have, when this airs, would have been like the weekend prior to when we're recording this. The weekend coming up. So this comes out on Wednesday. You guys will see it. The weekend coming up, May 23rd, is the semifinals.
Sweet.
And you're going to have I think it's like 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Columbia, South Carolina. You're going to have Carolina Thunder versus the Charleston Marauders, and then the Atlanta Assassins versus the South Carolina Titans.
Guys, and if you haven't been to one of these matches, you got to go. I mean, now you're talking about the 4 best teams down there. Yeah. The facility's awesome. We went there.
Yeah, we've been there a couple times. It's really nice. And they've got a full rig down there, and they've got plenty of space to hang out. They know how to throw a good party. Definitely check it out if you're anywhere in the Columbia area. And then May 30th is going to be the finals. And that's going to be – so I think this is really cool. They're doing an all-star match and then the championship match.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and you can go to their website. So if you go to the SAGL website – you can vote for who's going to play in the All-Star match.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, and so I didn't catch the two. There's two or three athletes right now that are like in the leaderboard for that. Go check it out, see who wins. But I think that's pretty cool. So the fans get to vote on who, as I understand it, this is how it's working. The fans get to vote on who plays in the All-Star match.
You know, I'm going to go on there and I'm going to vote for Matt Hubbard. I'm just going to give you a little shout-out, bro.
Matt. We're big fans.
Yeah, that's right. So, Matt, I'm definitely going on there and voting for you. Hopefully I get a couple more tossed your way.
So May 30th, the finals. I'm hoping they find a way to live stream that because that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So moving on, we're done with the East Coast. Let's wrap it up and go on over to the West Coast. Now, Waggle, I don't know if they like that.
I love that name.
I like it. The Western
Almost
Amateur,
like the wobble.
The Western Amateur Grid League. It's thewagl.com, by the way. They have all kinds of information on their website. Also, make sure to follow them on Facebook because they put out a lot of stuff there. They are doing what they're calling a Grid Invitational. It's April 25th at CrossFit Foothill. So they're going to do it at a box. And I imagine it's going to be pretty low-key. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. I like these kind of low-key, in-the-box kind of feel like they did for the –
Dude, it's like grassroots.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's where most of us are most comfortable.
Yep.
We don't need big, flashy venues all the time.
Let that be the pros.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just cool just to hang out in a box and watch them throw down. And April 25th, CrossFit Foothill, big shout-out to them. And what I'm really happy to see when you look at these different invitationals and tournaments is initially I didn't see this. Now what we see is people falling in line with they're using the true grid race formats as much as we can tell.
That's
right?
very good.
Yeah, you have to
keep
have
it standard.
That. Yes, and that's a plus for maintaining the integrity of the sport, and it's going to keep the sport moving forward. If we just make this stuff up as we go along and like make up all kinds of crazy races, if I see a treadmill or a rower, I'm going to shit myself.
Hey, Conan, how many innings are in a baseball game?
9.
And how many quarters are in a basketball game?
Don't know.
4.
Okay.
And how many periods are in hockey?
You kind of gave it away with quarters.
Right? Well, how many periods in hockey?
3.
Right. So thank God you answered all those correctly. But, I mean, there's something to standardizing everything, right?
If you're listening to the audio version of this, I did a really good fist pump. I did a Tiger Woods fist pump.
He did. Thank God.
Because I got him right.
I was waiting for that. I'm waiting all day for your fist pump.
You got to have 11 races.
Yeah, you have to have 11 races.
Well,
and they have to be at least standard. The point is, it has to be a standard.
Yeah, and if you don't have all 11 because you're trying to do, I just say, even at the amateur league, you got to have all 11. If you go below amateur league and you're doing your box, you don't need all 11.
No.
Go check out gridleague.com. Gridleague.com. There's a PDF you can download that will show you how to do quick play versions. Anything in your backyard, no equipment, some equipment, whatever. Right.
And I'm going to say a little something real quick. Just a hint. We may be coming out with something semi-soon. So I'll also talk about grid, right? To help explain grid.
Now you have me intrigued.
Oh, well. So sign up for our newsletter.
Yes.
And you'll be getting that pretty soon.
All right, so we talked about the Western Amateur Grid League.
Yep.
Let's talk about the last one, but not the least one, the NorCal Grid League. All right, we also have we love all the teams, but NorCal, I think so. I'm not sure if WAGL is all LA Reign folks, but I know there's some involved. Yeah. But for the NorCal Grid League, by and large, I think it's driven mostly by the San Francisco Fire. I know that their kickoff tournament is going to be in the Firehouse Grid Training Facility, which is where the San Francisco Fire train at. They are the only one so far that has a full-on grid rig, the entire grid, the actual grid that you play in PGL. In their facility. So they've got one of those facilities Saturday, June 6th. Mark this on your calendar. If you're anywhere in the NorCal region, Saturday, June 6th is the kickoff tournament. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Those guys know how to throw a good party, a good event, and I think it's going to be worthwhile to go see. Now, what's really cool, I think, is that's June 6th. That's leading into what happens on June 13th.
That's the start of the season.
In where? NorCal.
In NorCal.
Right.
You know,
San Jose.
a lot of the teams are actually going out there. I know the Baltimore Anthem's going out there June 1st. I think the DC Brawlers are going out there June 3rd for their mini camp that's out there.
Who do you think you're going to see in this facility?
Right.
Probably a lot of people.
Heck yeah.
I'm just going out on a limb to guess where they're going to be training at. Maybe the MPGL will have a facility set up at the Fit Expo or something for them to train at. But I got to believe somebody's going to be asking San Francisco, hey, can I come in there for a couple hours and train a little bit? I don't know. I'm making assumptions. We didn't ask the Fire. I'm sure they would tell us if we did. We should have asked.
But, you know who I think is going to be there? Someone who will travel up from L.A. is John. He really wanted to know about Noah Ohlsen's haircut and then what product he uses. Yeah. I bet you he'll be up there, too.
I'm sure he will be.
Giving high fives to everybody.
I'm sure he will be. So weekend before the MPGL matches start in San Jose. By the way, that's the San Jose Fit Expo on June 13th. We'll be there. Be looking for the Gridcast shirts. And if they let us, we're going to be throwing Gridcast T-shirts into the audience.
Dude, that is going to be so awesome.
It is. We asked for a potato gun, and they said no, no.
I'm kind of worried about a slingshot. If you do a slingshot and it's close quarters, that may be a little, I don't know. We'll see.
You might get smacked in the head. I know what we could use.
We can get a little tiny one.
No, we can use the freaking mobility bands.
Oh, hell yes.
Me and Tyler can hold it, and you can pull it.
That'd be awesome.
It wouldn't go anywhere.
No. we could figure out something on there.
Yeah. So stay tuned to the Gridcast website. Upcoming amateur league only podcast. It'll be separate from the Gridcast. It'll be audio only. We're going to have podcasters in all the different league regions, keeping you up to date on, because we're never going to be able to cover all those athletes, all those teams, right? We're just barely hitting the top of it here with this.
Yeah.
So we want to give them their due. So we figured the only way to do that, multiple podcasts. So stay tuned.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah. So again, we're still looking for a Amateur League Network podcaster for the NorCal region and Southern California region. Hit us up on social media if you're interested in doing that.
All right. So I think that finishes out Quadrant 2.
Who's coming up?
Oh,
number one.
We've got number 1 in the Atlantic region, Mr. Noah Ohlsen from the LA Reign. Stay tuned, guys. Hey guys, welcome to Quadrant 3. So I'm really excited about our next guest. Oftentimes you'll see him on Instagram playing with his dog Maximus. Last year in the Reebok CrossFit Games, he was top 10 finisher in 8th place with his perfect side part, chiseled abs and all from the LA Reign. It's Noah Ohlsen.
What's up? I don't know about all of that, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on the show, man. I'm really excited about it. So,
my pleasure.
First things first, congrats on re-signing with the LA Reign. I'm definitely excited for this next season to start.
As am I.
Yeah, so speaking of that, LA Reign last year didn't have the best of season records. And so what do you think the LA is doing this year to prepare better for the upcoming season?
So I think we started last season with an amazingly well-rounded team. Going into the first season of Grid, we didn't really know how anything was going to turn out. Didn't know how the matches were going to go, what it was going to come down to. It turns out that a bunch of great CrossFitters alone don't make a great Grid team. So I think we learned from our mistakes and are just going to fill the gaps that were open last season, which was mainly a big, strong finisher male for the end of the race at every match. And we got that in James Townsend and Rob Blackwell. So hopefully that is the final straw that kind of helps us kick some butt.
Yeah, man, I was out in L.A. For the L.A. Pro Day and got to see James Townsend in person work. And that dude's a monster.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So I got to ask, I've heard that your dog goes with you to do some CrossFit workouts. Do you have CrossFit workouts designed for Maximus?
We work on his box jumps every now and then. We tried some sled pulling last week, but attaching it to the collar wasn't a good idea, so we got to get him a harness or something. But no, he doesn't have a very strict training regimen. He just kind of yawns at me while I lift what I think is heavyweight, but he's apparently not impressed by.
Well, he's got to work on his abs, though. So
yeah,
you got to get him there.
Got 8 nipples. I got 8 abs. We're
So I looked up your bio online and saw that.
Say hi.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
I was saying Max is actually chilling out here by my feet. I'll pick him up at the end to say hi to everybody.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I looked up your bio online and said that while you're in college, it's kind of hard to go paleo or zone, or while you're in school and your daily life schedule just in general, it's hard to stay on paleo and zone. And you just try to eat as healthy as possible. But what does healthy actually mean to you, Noah Ohlsen?
Man, so that has changed a lot. My whole entire life, a lot more, though, within the past 4 years since I started doing all this exercise. And it started off with the kind of paleo zone thing. I was fully committed, and I wanted to do the workouts as hard as I could and eat as clean as I could. And that was cool, and it helped me stay really lean. Performance-wise, since I was just starting, I was getting better at everything naturally. I don't know how much it had to do with my diet. But I found that as my training sessions are getting longer, as I'm able to lift more weight and put more stress on my body, and now that I'm pretty much training for this stuff full time and it's become my job, the paleo zone is not quite enough energy for me to sustain throughout the day, every day. So I still do try to eat relatively clean most meals. So breakfast looks like some eggs, healthy carbs, sweet potatoes, or fruit or something like that, and then definitely supplement that throughout the day with like whole wheat wraps are cool. I'll have brown rice, white rice, whatever that may be, and a lot of ice cream actually has been added in recently.
Nice.
And that seems to be working well, keeping my my belly and the rest of my body nice and happy.
I fully support ice cream habits.
Yeah, man.
So I understand that you became a captain for your water polo team, or at least in the past. And how is that leadership role, being on a team, how's that transferred to grid?
I've been on the team most of my life. I grew up playing flag football, a lot of lacrosse, swimming and water polo in high school and a little bit of college. And I think that once I kind of lost those roots and was doing just CrossFit, it was a cool transition to make back into the team atmosphere with grid. I don't know that I took on too much of the leadership role last season. I mean, I always tried to help out and kind of do whatever it was that I could to fill my role on the team, but I was probably the youngest guy on the team, and I think sometimes it's a little bit, not that I didn't have the respect from everybody, but it was the first time for all of us, so I think the guys that happened to be a little bit older had a little bit more seasoning and respect from everybody, so we'll see what happens as we keep going. I guess I've been in it from the beginning, so
yeah. Get
to season 2, 3, 4, I'll be one of the longest grid veterans out there and can whip them into shape.
Heck yeah. All right, man. So I know you got CrossFit Regionals coming up, and you got the games, and you've done really well at the CrossFit Games in the past, and you're also a pretty good star on the grid as well. How do you balance working out in CrossFit and also working out on the grid?
Yeah, I think they're definitely very similar movements. I mean, the sports are within the same realm. Most of grid athletes are, at the beginning, were transferring over from CrossFit. Now we're seeing a lot more athletes from particular sports like football and track and gymnastics and stuff like that coming into the grid, which is really cool. Some strong Olympic lifters as well. But in training for both of those, I think kind of time-wise and season-wise, they're relatively different enough that I can focus my training on the CrossFit season when I need to and do my heavy lifting and metabolic conditioning in that style during that season. And then once grid season rolls around, it's just kind of changing gears a little bit, changing the time frames. Instead of longer metabolic conditioning pieces that are lasting 10, 20 minutes, it's really short, fast intervals, like get in, get out, grid style stuff. So it's a fun mix to be able to do both.
So totally different as far as time domains.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. Sure. All right. Awesome. So what are your current maxes right now on, like, say, deadlift, back squat, clean and jerk, and snatch?
I just snatched 280 pretty recently, which I was happy about. 300 would be an incredulous number that I never really thought I'd be able to do, but it's right there.
Yeah.
So snatch 280, clean and jerk is at 345. I'd like to have that up a little bit, obviously. Back squat, 425. Deadlift is 490, right at 500. That'd be fun to pull.
Yep.
What else? What am I missing? I can thruster right around 300 pounds. Nothing crazy. It's not that outlandish closer type of strength like Townsend and Blackwell have, but I'm getting there enough that I would hope that I can go tackle any element that's needed on the grid, do some heavy hang cleans or run that the race 2 for any movement.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to hang just fine.
We'll
So we let our fans know that we're going to be interviewing pretty soon, and we got a question from one of our fans, John. So he asks you, what hair product do you use in order to keep your hair perfectly still during the whole workout?
Oh, man, I'm sorry, John. That's a good question, but I cannot give that secret away at this time. I've been asked by a couple people, and I still haven't let it slip, so I'm going to hold on to it, and at the right time, I'll let the world know what's going on up here.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. All right, so we come to part of the show that we call Gridlock. So it's 10 fast-paced questions, a question and answer kind of thing, and so then it'll wrap it up, all right? So here we go. Cake or pie?
Pie.
If Garrett Fisher's hair and your hair had a death match, whose hair would win?
Ah, that's mean. I like Garrett, but I think he's got me.
Star Wars or Avengers?
Avengers.
Nanos or Chuck Taylors?
Nanos.
If you had a superpower, would you want it to be speed or strength?
Speed, because that's kind of what I have more than anyways now.
Yeah. If you could trade bodies with your dog for a day, would you?
What would I do? Everything that he does. He has a blast. Run around the gym, go swimming. Half a day.
Do you like swimming or rowing better?
Swimming.
And if you could read people's minds or know the future, what would you rather do?
Future.
Beer, wine, or liquor?
It used to be liquor, and I'm trying to make that transition to wine.
That's good. And so who will win the Pinnacle Trophy for the 2015 season for Grid?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I don't know. The first name that came to mind was Dmitry Klokov. Could be Noah Ohlsen. Who knows? I think it'll be close.
I think it'll be Noah Ohlsen and LA Reign.
Hope so.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us on the show. I really appreciate it. Can we say goodbye to Max?
Quick.
Yeah.
Get him. Maxie, come here. Come say hi to the Grid world.
Nice.
What's up, everybody?
Say LA Reign. Go LA Reign.
Go Reign. Go.
All right. See you, Noah. Thanks a lot for joining us on the show.
Boy, Max.
Welcome back, guys and gals. No, Ohlsen, man. I love the hair product thing.
Oh yeah, and Maximus at the end giving us a wave.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I love that the kid just owns it. Like he does. I'm not telling you what product I use.
Right? Yeah, I know. He's a bad.
You know what? If
I like him a lot.
If he's smart, and I know he is, he needs to put his name on it and then sell that stuff.
Hell yes.
Garrett Fisher would buy like a bucket of it.
You know what? Contact Aquanet. I'm sure they need someone to put their name on it to bring that product back.
But all joking aside, Noah, like big props, man. You smoked the Atlantic Regional.
Hell yeah.
Good job. It
was awesome.
Pretty good show this time. So we were done. We wrapped up kind of the we're done. Reps. We're out of here.
We out. Drop the mic.
Boom. I do want to talk about this. If you go onto I gotta remember where it was on Facebook. You guys will find it if you get on social media. I'm sure it's going to be all around because one of my favorite postings lately is I gotta look up the guy's name and I'll put it in the show notes.
Sucks.
I'll put it in the show notes because I completely had a brain fart. But he's at the Southern Regional. Gets done with Event 7, and they're having this little contest over in the side with the assault bike.
It was Nichols.
It was Nichols?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're having a contest where you can win an assault bike.
Yeah.
And you have to, what's the most amount of calories in 60 seconds, right?
Yep.
And so, some guy smoked it and did, 59.
59 was the highest at that point.
So at that point, he was the leader, and he was probably going to win because it was, the end of the day. Event 7 just got done, and Nichols goes over and he's like, yo, look, 60 seconds is going to suck, so I'm just going to quit after I beat you.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So he hops on the bike. 33 seconds later, he does, I think it was 63.
It was 62. Yeah.
63 in 33 seconds. You know what he does? Gets off, drops the mic, walks away.
I'm out.
Boom! And he says, thank you for my bike.
Yeah. Awesome.
After he finished the regionals.
So awesome.
Jesus. What's this guy on?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
He's on awesome. That's what he's on.
Damn right he is.
Good job, bro. Good on you. That's the way to do it, though.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't even going to go 60 seconds. I'm just going to crush you and walk away.
So something we do at our box, and I know a lot of boxes do around the country, is we do the Murph.
Memorial Day Murph.
Yeah, which is pretty fun. Which, by the way, last year I did the 3-beer Murph.
No bueno.
No bueno. Although I am probably going to do it again this year because now it's tradition.
Yeah.
So what you do is you have a beer during the first mile, and then a beer during all the sit-ups. The squats, the pull-ups, and what was the other part of it? I don't even remember. Push-ups. My bad.
Pull-ups, push-ups, air squats.
And then another beer at the final mile.
In the mile. Yeah.
Woo!
And it's for Lieutenant Michael Murphy. Got the Medal of Honor in Afghanistan. If you're not familiar with the story, there's a couple movies. There's like
documentary?
Brain farts. Yes, documentary, which is a real tearjerker. And then there's, of course, the movie that came out.
Lone
Hollywood
Survivor.
movie, yeah. And then, but you can go to the website, themurphchallenge.com, I think is what it is.
I think so.
Even if you don't want to do Murph, donate money. It goes to great causes. And we're going to do it. We do it in our box every year. And honestly, we have like usually 70 to 100 people show up.
It's crazy. People come out from the woodworks, from all these different boxes from around the area.
And it's shared suffering. It's for a good cause. If you do a hero wad and you don't suffer, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Point blank.
And then, so last week we got to go to New York and celebrate Christmas in New York, right? Which was awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
But you know how
Firebook.
After the holidays, you have a little bit of the holiday depression, like post-holiday depression.
Yeah.
I miss Christmas so much. She was such a cutie.
I know.
And if you haven't seen the episode, shame on you. You need to go check it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, remember to share our episodes online. And then go subscribe to our YouTube page, subscribe to our iTunes account, and also subscribe to our newsletter.
How about you just subscribe to everything?
Right. Be all Gridcast everywhere.
Yeah. Go on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. If you don't give us a 5-star review, just email us and say we suck. Don't leave a review.
Right. Yeah, email us. Let us know what we can improve.
Oh, we'll do it.
Yeah, and we'll definitely do it.
If you want Danny to do this in a thong, it'll probably happen.
Dude, I've already had like 10 requests. Don't put that out there like that.
If we ever do that episode, I please beg you to only listen to the audio version.
Please.
Just the audio
It'll
version.
break your computer screen. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps it up for episode 21. Thanks for watching it, and thanks for listening. Clean up your jerks and snatches, drink your beer and patches, and always dominate your grid matches. See you later, guys.
See you guys.